tonight on 5 Minutes. Few company mascots are as loved and respected as Computer Explorer's CT the Turtle. What isn't as well known is CT's propensity for traveling. When he isn't working, CT is a world traveler. London, Sydney, New York. CT loves getting out there to party with the locals. Recently, Jay Groot, president of KKBC, went on a business trip to Moscow. CT, being a close personal friend of Jay's, asked to go along. What happened next was an international incident that would shake the very foundation of computer explorers. First, Jay Groot tells us how it all played out in Russia.
I knew CT would be out doing his thing most of the time. He's a pretty hard shell guy and easygoing, so I wasn't really too concerned with him tagging along. So I said, come on, let's go to Russia.
Well, when did you realize things started to go bad?
Probably the second day. He hadn't returned to the hotel, and I got a little panicked and contacted the Russian police. And later that day, the ransom note came across. I forwarded immediately to Park and Deb.
As head of international development and being a former Computer Explorers franchisee, I was very upset. You know, CT is a world traveler. As a matter of fact, he was with me in Moscow just 10 months before. And he's world savvy. But he is a little guy, and that shell of his isn't real. You know, like regular turtles, hard. Man, did I cry. And then I ate a Hot Pocket, and I cried again. And then I washed my car. I never washed my car.
I was so angry. Who would take CT? The Russians. The Russians did it. I tried to call the turtle expert in Australia, couldn't help. And then Marlon Perkins, well, you know, he's dead. So Cindy said, just look up retrieval experts. They'll help us. Don't deal with turtle experts.
Well, yeah, I mean, why would we call Marlon Perkins? CT wouldn't want anybody delving into his reproductive life. So you know, my main concern was he's so kind, he's so loving, he's so gentle. I could see him becoming a victim of the Stockholm Syndrome. I could see him slowly robbing banks, slowly identifying with his captors. I decided we needed to do something. And we needed to do something quickly. So we called on Lori and Donna because they have friends who are commandos.
I don't know of any commandos or commando missions.
Nor would we be inclined or authorized to discuss such missions if they did in fact exist. You've entered a world you're not prepared for.
This interview is over.
After hitting a brick wall on this story, I talked to some other people at ICED. Kathy Muller is the sales director. She found a clue in the ransom note.
Well, I was wondering what was the deal with all the packing peanuts, you know? CT was always in a clean box full of fresh peanuts. And then it occurred to me, the Parcel Plus moose and how much he hates CT. I mean, he's a crazy moose. I've known a lot of moose and they're all crazy. And that craziness is all mixed up with this unnatural love of songs about candy bars. Absolutely nuts. No pun intended.
Now we were getting somewhere. The Parcel Plus moose, once as loved as CT, used to be the only corporate mascot around ICED. Now he's sharing time and insanely jealous. It didn't take long for Donna and Lori's non-existent people to discover who was behind the abduction. We were off to talk to Parcel Plus president, Brian Buford. So, what do you think about your colleague abducting CT the turtle?
He gets strung out on ryegrass and stale acorns, and he doesn't think clearly, and really, who could in that situation? I'm surprised this hasn't happened before, what with the anger management issues he suffers from and the insane jealousy. I'm not surprised.
Is it something that you feel responsible for? I mean, would you like to cry on camera? Because we'd really appreciate it.
No. And let me tell you why. He's a stuffed animal. You're kind of a moron. He stays in his box like he should. Tell you two more things. One, I have no idea to the situation that you're talking about. And two, I'm not at all surprised that he asks his people to do it.
So there was this daring rescue. Lots of innocent people were involved, and you know, some of them got maimed. You know, I know a lot of shady people in New Jersey, but none compare to some of the friends that Donna and Laurie have. I would not want to cross them in a dark alley. But things are okay. Jay was able to bring CT back home.
Well, we finally got him back. He went through a lot of therapy, physical therapy, mental and emotional therapy. But he seems to be doing okay now. I don't know what to say about that moose. He seems to be like one taco short of a 2-taco fried rice bean meal, however you say that. You know, it's in Texas, what can I say?
I don't really hate the moose for what he did. I had a lot of hot nurses. You know what I'm saying? High five. And I've moved on. And because of a couple of these injuries, I have some dance moves that were impossible to pull off before. I'm living the dream, dude. Living the dream.
The Parcel Plus Moose is eligible for parole in 6 months. The non-existent commandos are already on retainer. Tune in next week for another baffling episode of 5 Minutes.